So, I don't know if this is a rant, a public service announcement, a help for other YouTubers in the same position, but I wanted to get it out there and kind of just say my piece. I often review pedals, and I'll get a comment, I've seen other reviewers have the same thing, where somebody will say, that sounds really digital and processed. And for some reason it winds me up every time, because it's a really unfair assessment of a pedal, or an effect, or an amp. When I'm reviewing, I'm listening to what I'm playing in the room on an amp. So to me it sounds organic, natural, whatever you want to call it, whatever words your viewers use. Or I'm playing with it in a band, so it sounds in the mix and in context. When you're listening to it, quite often viewers will be listening to it on a mobile phone. So it's gone from a big 12-inch speaker to a tiny little millimeter speaker on a phone, or how big, or a laptop. So you've got little to 1-inch speakers, or maybe headphones. But usually headphones aren't audio tuned for production, so they muck around with the sound as well. So however you're listening to it, unless you were in the room with me as I recorded it, it's always going to sound a bit off compared to what I'm hearing. The second part is how it's then recorded. So it goes into a digital interface into a laptop. So it goes into the digital interface and is resampled. It's resampled at a hugely high rate and is very clever and very good, but it's still resampled. It's no longer the original analog signal. It then goes into a digital workstation at the door, so you're then taking the digital into the digital. So we've gone analog, digital into digital. Then there's usually some effect added to it. So most people will add some kind of leveling to make sure there's no spikes or anything like that. So maybe a bit of compression or a gate or something just to level out the signal slightly for people listening, because no one likes it when it goes quiet and spikes suddenly. So there's usually a bit of that, not sort of EQ or anything like that, but just something to level it. You then render that, which is another resampling. You then put it back into the video. You then put that video into your video editor, or you might do all of this in your video editor or whatever. You edit it. You then resample it as you render it into an MP4. You then upload it to YouTube, who then take quite often what is like say a gigabyte file, because you've done as high a render as you can, even for a 10-minute file. You'll put that into YouTube, which will then compress it down to something that's about 400 megabytes. So again, it's resampled. So there's all these points of resampling and compression and digital altering of that signal. So what you hear on YouTube, we do our best, but it really isn't the same as what you're hearing in the room. We do what we can to make it sound as good as possible, but at the end of the day, all of these things will affect the tone. So if you're listening to something and you go, oh, that sounds a bit digital or a bit compressed or a bit resampled, or I can hear some digital artifacts on it, it's quite likely it's just because what YouTube does to the video, or what the DAW does to the sound, or what the video editor does, where as much as we have tried to avoid it, there is some resampling and there are some digital artifacts. So be kind to YouTube reviewers. Be kind to the pedals that they are using, because we do our best to make sure things don't sound digital, but sometimes it just comes across that way because of all of the different things in between that original guitar signal and what you're viewing on YouTube. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree. If you're a YouTuber who's had a similar experience and sort of thought, oh, do I have to explain this again? Point them to my video. But yeah, I would say like, subscribe and comment. Do comment, like and subscribe if you can. Hit the dislike button if you think I'm an arse. And I'll see you again soon. Cheers.